Hey folks, it's me, CGS, back with the video as promised on this new little purchase I've made, which is a Fender ABY pedal. So I bought this simply to switch between the two of these heads, between the Tiny Terror and the Dark Terror, because what I was after is the two different sounds. This one is a far more vintagey break-up tone rather than a straight out rock and metal tone, and this one is of course the big rock and metal beast. And I wanted to be able to not only switch between them very quickly on stage as two different types of sound, but also to combine the two to give myself a really nice punchy lead sound. So that's all this pedal's doing. It's just literally a simple switch. It's a true bypass, if you like, because it doesn't need the power other than to see the LEDs, but it works perfectly well without. And on one side you've got an A or B switch, standard click switch. And on the other side you've got an A and B switch so that you can put the two amps in together. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch it on, and I'm going to put a couple of mics on this and we're going to give it a try out, and I'm going to show you how it works.
So, Fat Man, who is this China Guitar Sceptic fellow?
I have absolutely no idea, but I am gonna subscribe to his channel.
Oh, good idea. You know what? I might even join you.
I bought this Fender ABY pedal for around £30 British pounds online, and it's a simple ABY switcher. And the reason being is I wanted some variety of tone available to me from the orange Tiny Terror and the dark Terror. And I wanted to use both amps, both separately and at the same time, to give a little bit of a boost. And so this was the ideal thing. And the great thing about it is while it's got a battery compartment and also input for a 9-volt DC power supply, wall wart type thing, it also works passively. The power to it is only to make the LEDs work. But actually, when you've got very distinctive tones like the 2 amps I'm using, it's really easy to work out which is which and use this passively. So it doesn't need any sort of power at all. It's a very rugged manufacture. Funny enough, it's made in China, of course, for Fender, and it's just really simple. It does what it says on the tin. It's got true bypass as well, so it is clean and doesn't impede the signal path at all. The switches are really nice and rugged, and I can see this lasting many years, being just chucked in a gig bag. And I think the only thing that's going to wear off pretty quick are these little rubber feet. But I'm not too worried about that. We can replace those relatively easily. And yeah, it's just a nice tactile little thing, and it's not a massive pedal. Really easy to set up with the 2 amps, and it can work round the other way as well. So as much as you can put one guitar in and go out to 2 separate amps, you could also effectively mix 2 guitar inputs into one single output, which is why that is labelled an in and an out. So it's a really versatile little pedal, and it's going to do exactly what I wanted to do. In fact, there you go. There's the diagram on the back of it being used as both a 2 amps or 2 guitars switcher. And the great thing is, because it's got the A or B and the A and B, you can make 3 different tones out of it, and it gives an awful lot of expressive range. I'm only using it with the 2 orange amplifiers at the moment, which are relatively similar anyway, but you could quite conceivably have this to switch between a practice amp or a tuner, or you could have it among 2 very, very different amps, or as I said earlier, you could mix 2 guitars into the same amp. So if you had you wanted to play 2 separate guitars, you wanted, say for example, you had a Gibson and a Fender, you could have Gibson going into the A and the Fender going into the B, and then switch between them. And you wouldn't, because it's true bypass, there'd be no signal path loss. You wouldn't want to add both guitars at the same time unless you were having 2 people play through the same amp, but I can see that being a real issue and a problem. So I don't think it would be used in that respect, but certainly to have a couple of guitars if you were playing live, and maybe you wanted to be careful if you broke a string and had your spare guitar plugged in straight away, you could feasibly have it round the other way so that you could choose between the guitars. So a really, really versatile little pedal there. And what's more, it's got a lovely, excellent sound. There is no additional colouring put on by this pedal. So there we have it. The Fender ABY pedal, and I'm really pleased that I bought this. It's going to do exactly what it says on the tin, and I'm really, really delighted with it. So there's that. Okay, my next video will be about this little beast. This is a Yamaha P60 stage piano. And I'll be back real soon with another video about this. Until then, you take good care.